somebody out there hustling them in. I'll go hustle real quick.
Mr. Stevens.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Feeling back to
Oh, God.
back to
100%.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the damn kids, and you get around all them kids in school and everything.
I know. I hear you.
Well, you can relate.
Yes. We're sad about that.
How you doing, Mark? Good to see you. Happy Friday. How you doing? Mark, how you doing? Good to see you.
But yeah, everything's going good. Hopefully, we'll have conversion all locked in by next week. And then I met with Access, who does work with them, and she said they're in. I just need to find out the level.
Okay.
I had another potential investor here today that says they're in. His name's Craig. It's like he does not economic development, but he helps out small business as far as getting like his SBA and things like that.
Good.
So.
Good morning. If we could all get in here, we have an action-packed meeting. We want to make sure we get everybody out of here on time. All right, good morning. We'll call to order the August 25th meeting of the Horizon Council. Great to see everybody. Since some of you guys are sitting and some are standing, let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. Let's pass the mic around and do some membership introductions. Where's Warren, the mic man? Jeez, Warren, come on. It's 7 minutes into this game. You don't have the? I've got the gavel.
Good morning, Mark Morrow, Lee County Administration.
Ray Sandelli, Lee County Commissioner, District 3.
Good morning, Richard Aiken, Bylaws Task Force.
Good morning, Adam Palmer, LQ Commercial Sports Council.
Karen Moore, Southwest Florida Business Today, and Chair of the Inclusion and Diversity Committee.
Good morning, Gary Tasman, Cushman and Wakefield Commercial Property, Southwest Florida, and Chairman of the Business Issues Committee.
Good morning, Helen Edenfield, Neogenomics, Horizon Council Treasurer.
Good morning, Guido Minaya with Minaya Learning Global Solutions and Vice Chair of the Horizon Council.
Good morning, everyone. This is Holly Smith, Councilwoman for the City of Sanibel and Horizon Foundation President.
Good morning, all. Laura Carr, Councilwoman, Bonita Springs.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeff Albritton, President of Florida Southwestern.
Good morning. My name is Gerard Carrington, Florida Gulf Coast University.
Hello, it's Adrian Kerr, Vice President of Hodges University.
Good morning, everyone. Sam Fisher, Vice Chair of the Lee County School Board.
Hello, good morning. Kelly with Greater Fort Myers Chamber.
Hi, Kathy Stefanski with Fort Myers Beach Chamber.
Hi, Matt Price, Seagate Development, IDA.
Morning, Tom Houlihan with Industrial Development Authority.
Doug Geyer of S4J Manufacturing with the Industrial Development Authority.
Good morning. Rob Harris, Executive Director of the Southwest Regional Manufacturers Association.
Good morning. Nancy Carista Sherm, Southwest Florida.
Good morning. Ben Simmons with SCORE.
Hello, Lori Moore with the Real Estate Investment Society.
Julie Ramirez, Lee County Medical Society.
Good morning, everyone. Alan Canfield on behalf of Sheriff Carmine Marcino.
Good morning. Jay Johnson, Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association.
Good morning. David Barton. I think the original chairman of the Horizon Council, founder member, and with much pleasure, my wife and I here to join you, support you in your ongoing efforts. Wonderful job done by you all. Thank you.
Lee Ford, member at large.
Tony Loppe with Sanibel Captiva Beach Resorts, representing the Tourist Development Council.
Colleen Jorgensen, Southwest Florida Tech.
Edie Button, Southwest Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Richard Durling with Marvin Homes, representing the Lee Building Industry Association.
Good morning, Eric Lane, representing Leadership Next in the Greater Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Mike Biskey with B&I Contractors, representing CareerSource, Southwest Florida.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Randy Chris Commercial Group. I represent the Lee County Port Authority Airport Special Management Committee.
Hi, Ryan Richards, RG Architects, representing the American Institute of Architects.
Good morning, Ernest Wilkes, Regions Bank at large member.
Good morning, Denise Vidal with Lee County Electric Cooperative, member at large.
Matt Repsdorf, Pratt & Whitney, at large.
Good morning, Bev Larson, ERA Lahaina Realty, member at large.
Joseph Janoshka, member at large.
Mary Gentile, LQ Property Management, member at large.
Great, thank you. Welcome. Great to see you all today. So in your package, you should have the meeting minutes from the June 23rd meeting. I see a motion. Is that a motion to approve, Bev? Second. All approved? Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So, David, thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to have you here. I kind of feel like I'm getting graded by a founding member, so hopefully it's just a P or an F, not a numerical score. So, without further ado, let's have Miss Holly Smith, Councilwoman Holly Smith, come up and give us an update on the Horizon Foundation.
Thank you, esteemed chair, who is doing an amazing job, Mr. Barton. Mr. Barton, please take note of that.
That's only because she said my name wrong in a meeting the other day. Mark, it's really difficult.
Okay. I don't know that you want to watch our banter, but it is quite amusing. I feel like he's my little brother. So, good morning, everyone. We held our foundation board meeting last Wednesday, August 15th. And I want to continue to remind everybody about the Industry Appreciation Awards, which are October 27th. Please save that date. Be a part of it. Priority Marketing has been working diligently on all of our behalf to make this the most exciting 30th anniversary of our Industry Appreciation Awards. We had a record number of applicants for the awards, which really shows our growth, our interest in the Horizon Council, in the Horizon Foundation, and ultimately for Lee County. So be a part of that, and we're excited to see and unveil who those winners will be on October 27th. Another item I just wanted to let you know quickly is, listen, think about the Edison Awards. Those are going to be coming up in April. And as I have been preaching here since I was introduced to the Edison Awards, they are in Fort Myers, and hopefully we're going to continue to keep them here. That partnership and then what they bring with innovation from around the world is second to none. And if you have not been a part of it, please consider being a part of it. There are sponsorship opportunities. I can tell you our investment, as well as the EDOs, and the city of Fort Myers, the county, it is invaluable. So if you haven't, mark your calendars. I believe it is about April 19th to the 21st or thereabouts. Thank you. See what an excellent job that he's doing. Please mark your calendars. Go online. You can look it up. You can see what the past winners have been. Just really something not to miss and to continue to be a part of, because it's going to continue to grow here in Lee County, and we will be continuing to be a part of this for as long as it is in Fort Myers, which I hope doesn't have an end date. Why don't you go ahead and announce that?
She's the CEO of SpaceX, and she'll be here for a week with us celebrating the awards. And we're making her way around
The CEO of SpaceX, if you didn't hear that. And if you look at the history of who's been here, I mean, Elon Musk was one of the winners. So you have that level of innovation. And I can tell you so much of what those innovators bring have touched all of us. We don't even realize that in our everyday use, many of those items have come through because of the brain work of what comes forward in that. So there you go. Sold that one. Another date that we have more coming up is October 11th from 5 to 7 at Calusa Sound. We're looking forward to a gathering of about 500 to 600 of our closest friends to welcome and celebrate incoming FGCU President Dr. Timur. So this is a collaboration between FGCU, the Horizon Foundation and Council, and the EDO. So invitations will be going out through email on that, through priority marketing, so please mark your calendars. We want to make sure we're welcoming, encouraging, and being a part of the success of the new leadership that's coming, that's in FGCU at this time. Foundation Executive Bill Johnson, who's here in our audience today, is working with Priority and on new enhancements across all of our platforms, and that's just kind of a teaser. So as those come forward, we will be letting you know more about that either through this meeting or through our Horizon Foundation meetings. We're really going to be coming up to 2023 and further as we look at ways to engage and act and get the participation that we know that you all understand, but we want to get that out to a broader audience to encourage more participation in both the Horizon Council and the Horizon Foundation. Yesterday, Bill, our executive director, was one of 5 panelists for the State of the Nonprofit Union put on by the Community Foundation. And I know we had the E-Award yesterday, and there was this as well. And if you'd like to know more about that, I'm sure Bill will tell you how he gave his perspective on how to run a successful nonprofit foundation through an executive director's eyes. So please get with Bill on that. I haven't had the opportunity to chat with him, but I'm looking forward to finding out what that's about. And Bill, as to dollars, would you mind standing up and letting our audience know where you are? Drum roll, please.
I would gladly like to do that, Holly. Currently, based off of our goal, we're about $465,000 committed, a little shy of $400,000 that has been paid, with a little over a quarter left to go in the year. I am certain that we will not only meet our goal, but we are looking to exceed it. We are looking and partnering with a few potential new investors that we will unveil as soon as they come on, but good things this year for the Horizon Foundation, and we look to keep building off of that success and moving forward. Thank you.
Round of applause for Bill. And if you know of anyone, the way that we bring more to this table is by bringing more investors to this table. And it doesn't matter what level they're at, whether you are an entry level or you are one of the higher levels, your participation at whatever level you can afford is important for the success of all of us. So if you know someone, share us. Continue to share us. So again, as Lee County grows, we grow together, and we're really embracing every investor from every level to make us a better and stronger Lee County in our business community, because that's what we're all about here. And then finally, I'm just going to give a shameless plug to what's called Savor the Shore. And if you are aware of Savor the Shore, then thank you. What Savor the Shore is a collaboration with Lee County, with the Chamber of Commerce of Sanibel and Captiva and the City of Sanibel. Also, we have a foundation that's given. There has been a waiving of the toll for the Sanibel Causeway every Sunday. So what we're trying to do is encourage people to come out, support those businesses that need that support in these coming critical years of our reconstruction and our rebirth. So every Sunday, tolls are lifted. Please come over and patronize. I know many of you have come to me and said, Holly, I came to dinner, I went to the beach, I've done this. Sanibel and Captiva, and I'm not leaving out Fort Myers Beach, need that help and will. So please make an effort to get out there and make sure that we are helping revitalize the economy that is so important to everything that we do here in Lee County. And those are our Barrier Island communities that bring so much. So I want to also say, to Tam Pygott, thank you. I know there was coordination with the VCB on helping make that happen. The marketing is out. So get out there, support us as we continue to try to support every business in Lee County, but some are a little bit more needy than others right now and will continue to be. So with that, Chair, I am finished my report. Thank you very much, sir. And of course, Bonita Springs as well. I don't want to leave out any municipality, but we do know those that were critically devastated, that do have a little bit more need. And right now, I'm going to tell you, I know that the beaches are, and we welcome everyone patronizing any business that needs help throughout Lee County. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you for your continued leadership. We appreciate it. No problem. I didn't see shameless plug on the agenda. Next time, if we could make sure that made it. All right, up next, Commissioner Sandelli. Good morning. Good morning. Let me adjust that mic for you. No one will ever confuse Mark and I with the tall, skinny guys with a name that you can't understand. Mark Stevens, Ray Sandelli. We're pretty simple and stuff like that. Good morning. Looks like summer vacations are about done. Kids are back in school. The debate season, the football season is upon us, so maybe we're moving just a little bit to normal, whatever normal is. And if anybody has a definition of that, it would encourage that. We're close to the one-year anniversary, if you want to call it an anniversary, of Ian. And there's going to be, if that's my mother, tell her I'm speaking right now. There's going to be a number of events going on. I want to mention one in particular. There's a Hurricane Heroes concert at Hammond Stadium on October 7th, Matchbox 20. For those of you who are music aficionados, will be there. We're going to honor, a number of people, including our first responders and some people that played important parts, within the community. So, in general, I hope you could consider that and come out. On the county side, we're working on the budget. We keep tweaking it, as everybody knows, whether it's personally or professionally. Budgets are a little bit of a challenge this year, so we're making sure that our key things are moving forward. We have to do a little bit of prioritizing, and that's okay. There'll be a public meeting on September 1st, to review the budget. We've had to defer a few things in making everything work, but we want to keep those key pieces in line and moving, because not only are we dealing with hurricane aftermath, but obviously the growth that we continue to see, which is a good thing. There are a number of funding projects. We won't touch on those today, but Glenn Salyer from the county has been really focused on that, so he can look at all the funding sources, make sure we're complying with those, because they're so important that we comply with that, so that whatever source is coming through, there's no question that we're spending money in the right place. And we felt it was important to align him with that. So he's doing a great job, and if there's any questions, I can either try to answer it in my office, or we'll have Glenn anything specific. I don't know if Ben's here from the airport. Ben, is he here? No, I don't think so. Anyhow, RSW was named the best airport, in the country, based on a variety of different things, and one of those things was customer service. And that's one thing that Ben and his team and all of us are, we want to welcome people to that gateway. We're doing a great job, and it was nice to be recognized for that. The new tower is now operational. So now Ben is the third tallest entity out there, besides the big tower and the old tower. Margaritaville, I've been down there a couple times over the last couple weeks. I'm down there at least one day a week, and that's getting close to a first opening.
So it's pretty exciting to see it come to fruition after all the challenges that were going on there. Just a couple small pieces, because I was just down the beach day before yesterday. The old school, which was the topic of conversation, they're working on rebuilding the old school. They're working right now. The field next door, laying sod yesterday. We're going to have baseball back down at Fort Myers Beach. Those are little things, but Dan and I talk every day. And it's as long as we have those little successes, we keep moving in the right direction. And sometimes, it all comes together. And I think that's about it for right now. It's good to see everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandelli. Mr. John Talmadge, can you give us an economic development update?
I'm going to be very short. I just want to reintroduce Mark Moroff, who's our Assistant County Manager who carries economic development, community development as part of the portfolio, as well as others. And recognize Tam Pygott from the BCB and Jeff Milkey from Sports Development. Without those two departments, we would not be anywhere near as successful as we are today. So thanks for that partnership. And again, finally, Margaret and Dave Barton, there's no one more committed to economic development than Southwest Florida. So thanks for being here today.
Thanks, John. Today, for our nonprofit moment, we have the American Red Cross. We have Jill Palmer, who's the executive director. If you could give us some ideas of what's going on.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. As Mark said, I'm Jill Palmer. I serve as the Executive Director for the American Red Cross, our Florida Gulf Coast to Heartland chapter, serving Lee, Collier, Hendry, Glades, and Highlands counties. It's really incredible to see how far we've come and how far we still have to go following the devastation of Hurricane Ian. The American Red Cross is extremely grateful for our business community and our other nonprofit partners that really truly helped us all respond in the days, weeks, and months following Hurricane Ian. I wanted to share, Warren said he would give me the hook. I could talk for quite a long time about all of the work that the Red Cross does here, from our number one disaster that we respond to across the country, which is our everyday house fires. I personally was a client of the Red Cross in 2010 when my house caught fire and burned down in the middle of the night with myself and my family in there, and we were all able to safely get out. But I remember right behind those fire trucks pulled up was a car with a big Red Cross on it. And at the moment, I didn't really understand all that the Red Cross did. At the time, I worked for LeeHealth, where I had been working for 15 years prior. And I quickly learned that the Red Cross responds to all of those disasters. We are the first responders to our fire departments. We get the call. We have a mission to respond within 2 hours of a house fire if there was a family that was displaced, to bring comfort and hope, and to help find that next step, and to work with our other partners in the community like United Way and Salvation Army, who help those families with their recovery. But we provide immediate financial assistance to those families so they can get a hotel, that they can get a meal, they can start looking for replacement of clothing. And we can't do that without the generosity of our donors and the power of our volunteers. 90% of the American Red Cross workforce are volunteers. And here in Lee and Collier and Hendry, Glades and Highlands, there are only 3 paid staff members, and I am one of those. So it truly takes a team to be able to be out in the community. If you see us out there, more than likely you're working and interacting with a volunteer. And they are an incredible workforce. For Hurricane Ian, just to give you a super quick update, we had over 3,300 team members that responded and deployed to help with that response. The majority of those individuals came through Lee County at some point. Chico's was extremely generous and donated their headquarters for the Red Cross to be able to set up. We were there from October to February, utilizing their space, being able to send out all of our resources, our feeding kitchens, our disaster cleanup volunteers, distributing our emergency supplies. We conducted over 230,000 damage assessments, and when you think about the context of that, this is the number one disaster the American Red Cross has ever responded to, and that's pretty significant when you think we've been around for 140 years doing disaster response. That Ian, that touched our community very personally, was the largest disaster we've responded to. We know that there is an increased number of weather-related disasters, and across the country, the Red Cross is adapting our mission to be able to respond to these back-to-back acute to chronic disasters that are impacting our community. And so what are we doing as a community? How are we making the community more resilient? We have started a community adaptation program. Lee County was just identified as the 10th county across the entire country for the Red Cross, along with Sarasota County, because we know that we have an increased risk and we have a vulnerable community. And so how can we bring in additional staff and resources? We've just hired 3 additional team members who will just be focused on community adaptation, working with our hyper-local community partners to bring some additional resources, enhancements, so that they can build a more resilient, adaptable community to be prepared for the next disaster. In the 1980s, we were responding to $5 billion disasters across the country a year. In 2022 and currently, we are responding to $18 billion disasters a year. In 2030, we know that we're going to be around $30 billion disasters a year. We have to continue to evolve and adapt, and the Red Cross is taking that mission extremely seriously and putting additional resources into the community. We're grateful for the work that we've been able to do. We were able to hand out over $35 million in direct financial assistance to those that had major or destroyed homes. We raised, with the generosity of our donors, around $94 million for our Hurricane Ian response, and that's across all 26 counties that were declared disasters across the state of Florida. And currently, we are rolling out over $11 million in long-term recovery grants. Most of that money is coming here to Lee County. However, we have other grant partners across the state, and we have a team that is following up and working with those organizations that need to enhance their mission and need additional financial resources to be able to help their community continue to recover. And so we're grateful for being able to do that. I will shamelessly put in a plug, since we're doing shameless plugs, as I wrap up. The Red Cross here in our community is looking for additional board members. So if you have a passion for helping others, of being able to share what the Red Cross can do for the community, I would love to have a conversation with you to see if this might be an opportunity. Our immediate past chair is Jim Mahan, the Executive Vice President for MCH. Our current chair is Andy Brace, Vice President with PNC. But we're looking for business leaders where you have access to a lot of your own employees, and what information can we provide to you to help you build that resilient community within your workforce. So Warren knows how to reach me, Nancy knows how to reach me, but I would love the opportunity to work with you. And even if it's not potentially a leadership position, but you'd love for the Red Cross to come out and do a disaster preparedness presentation, share information with your employees. We can provide information. I left some of these Be Red Cross Ready booklets out on the sign-in table for you. I didn't bring enough for everyone, but it has some information, just some helpful tips. As we are in hurricane season, we are starting to see the tropics really pick up. None of us want to listen to the news in the morning and see what's brewing, but we know that together we can be prepared and work together, and we will recover. So thank you so much for the time. I appreciate being a part of the mission moment today and appreciate all that you do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, for all you and the Red Cross do for us. It's amazing. You sit here and listen to, it's hard to wrap your arms around everything you all do, so we appreciate it. All right, without further ado, so several months ago, Ben and I had the opportunity to have lunch, and I thought I kind of understood healthcare and how they made all these gazillion dollars, and I quickly learned over lunch that that's not exactly the case. Very, very challenging business, very, very, tenuous business when you're talking healthcare and the needs and obviously new competition coming into the market. So I left that thinking, man, I am glad I'm not Ben. Makes my job look so much simpler. But as we left, I thought this would be a great topic for all of us to better understand our very own homegrown healthcare system and what they do for us. So the actual title is The Changing Healthcare Landscape and Its Impact on Lee County's Largest Employer, LeeHealth. So you have the bios. We have 3 folks from LeeHealth. I'm not going to read the entire bio, but just to give you kind of a snapshot, Chris Fay, is the Chief Officer for Community-Based Care. Chris serves as the Chief Officer for Community-Based Care with LeeHealth. She oversees LeeHealth Center for Care Transformation, the employed medical group consisting of 1,000 physicians and advanced providers, as well as outpatient services and locations for the system. Chris earned her bachelor's degree in business management and master's degree in health administration from the University of New Hampshire. Thank you for being here. This next one, I'm going to try not to botch this name. It's Dr. Ian Gonsenhauser. I do all right? All right. Ben let me off. He said, you just call him Dr. Ian, but I thought I would challenge myself. So, American Board of Internal Medicine, certified physician of hospital medicine and healthcare executive. He received his medical education at the Ohio State University of... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it gets better. I'm not quite sure how if we would have known these bios before this. And his postgraduate training with the OSUCOM Department of Internal Medicine Primary Care. So thank you for being here. And then our very own Ben Spence. Ben serves as the Chief Financial Officer and Business Service Officer for LeeHealth Senior Leadership Team. He joined LeeHealth in 1995 and served in many key roles during his course of healthcare. Ben is originally from Cleveland, Ohio, here we go, and earned his Bachelor of Science Business Administration from Ohio State University in 1992 with a dual major in finance and real estate. The best part of it is Ben then completed his graduate studies in 2010 at Florida Gulf Coast University. So without further ado, Ben.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. And good morning, everybody. I just wanted to start with thanking our chairman, Mark Stevens, for the new height restriction rules on officers at 5'6" or less. I know Guido and I, certainly see eye to eye on that. And I'm sorry, Adam, Gary, Richard, there's another time, maybe. But I really appreciate our panel guests, too, working side by side with Dr. Gonsenhauser and Chris Bay every day. It's certainly a thrill, and it would be great to have questions and answers afterwards. We have a packed presentation to share with you, probably more than you want to know about healthcare, but I think it's really important just to give the business community an understanding of the economic impact of healthcare in our community and in our nation. And I'm going to pull up the presentation here. And so what I'll do is I'll start with a bit of a history of LeeHealth and where we've been over the years, where we're at today, the state of healthcare in the United States, what we're going through as a country in healthcare, the economic impact, how the care is starting to shift, and some really important implications of that for our community, and where we're going as a community in healthcare, and where we'll be investing a lot of the resources that we've been asked to steward as LeeHealth. And you'll get a bit of a dog and pony show slideshow at the end that I know you all like the pictures, but I want you to understand the content here on healthcare and how it relates to our businesses as well. So that's what I'm going to try to accomplish. So when you look at LeeHealth as an organization here in Lee County, we were established in 1916, so we're over 100 years old. We rebranded as LeeHealth in 2016. We started just as Lee Memorial Hospital. And today we have over 2 million patient contacts every year, over 14,000 employees, an amazing staff of volunteers that helps us every day of over 4,000, 2,500 medical staff, and 1,000 of which are employed with LeeHealth. These include physicians and advanced providers. We now have over 100 locations, 12 clinics and outpatient facilities, and we are a publicly elected board of directors of 10, and we were established by a special act of the Florida legislature as a governmental entity. And one thing to note is that we are one of the largest public, not-for-profit public health systems in Florida, and we do not get any tax support. So the governmental entities typically have taxes, but we do not, and we've been able to manage without, and I think that's a real tribute to the organization and our community. So if you look back just at history, now I found this 1927, this is what it looked like, $42,000 in revenue for the year, and the expenses there, which are probably about a half a minute here today. And I can see then we had $778 left over at the end of the year. But that was probably pretty good back then. I don't know. But today, we have over $2.7 billion in operating expenses. That's what it takes to run the health system today, of which $1.6 billion are in salaries and benefits. And why is that important? Because this is the lifeblood of the community. The $1.6 billion goes back into buying houses and buying services from the area businesses, not to mention the healthcare services that are provided. But it's a really big economic impact. So when LeeHealth's doing well in healthcare in general, the community tends to do better. And it's an attraction for businesses. They want to know you have a strong health system and a system of care in the community. Over the next 5 to 7 years, to keep up with the growth, we're glad we're growing, but it does take a lot of resources to reinvest in the community, and we're anticipating as much as $750 million that we need to reinvest in community to expand access to the health care that you need. There's just a breakdown of some of the spend there on drugs and supplies and food. We produce a lot of food. You don't think of healthcare as a food service. We create a lot of meals every day. And over $120 million just really to keep the lights on every year. So we talk about not-for-profit. Why do you need to make any money after a business needs to have money left over so that you can fix things when they break, prepare for them in the future, and have the opportunity to grow. Average hourly rate with the 14,000 plus employees is $46 an hour, and it ranges from about $15 all the way up. And we recently raised that minimum wage to account for the cost of living increases that we're seeing in this economy. This is just a kind of a map timeline going back to when it all began with just a couple of operating room nurses that really started up the health system that at the time was a hospital. In 1968, we expanded at the Cleveland campus and created a hospital that had more beds. I came in 95, so it was shortly after Health Park Medical Center was opened in 92, and the nursing home over there, and I think people kind of laughed, said, what are you doing building that over in the gladiolus fields? And now you look at the Health Park campus, 300 plus acres that's fully developed, and truly an amazing vision that we see as reality today. And shortly after I got here, and I was a clerk in the finance department, there was this big spin about Cape Coral Hospital, and who are they going to go with? Are they going to go with HCA? Are they going to go with Lee Memorial? In the end, their board decided to join forces with Lee Memorial, and in 1997, we had an opportunity to acquire the HCA hospitals in this community, which was Gulf Coast Medical Center and Southwest Florida Regional Medical Center, as they were going private from public, and it was a transitionary period. One thing to really note, though, is this was very hospital-centric early on, but it's so much more than that today, because we formed a physician group in 1993, and that really becomes the basis of care. Your primary care network is how you want to access care in the community. Ideally, you don't want to have to go to the hospital, right? You want to be able to stay out of the hospital. We have hospitals, but we're a system of care now that spans across the entire continuum of doctors and specialists and outpatient services and skilled nursing facilities, rehab hospital, home health agency. We opened Coconut Point in Estero in 2018, which is an ambulatory center with an ER. It doesn't have any beds, but it provides for about 85% of the need in that community. And it's been really received well and really a pillar in that community today. More recently, in 2020, right as COVID hit, we opened up 275 additional beds at Gulf Coast, which couldn't have been better timed because there was 52 ICU beds. And if you recall, during COVID, there was a lot of people needing intensive care. So that was a bit of divine intervention there to have the needed services for this community when it needed it most. And we added a 75-bed skilled nursing facility in 2020 as well. More recently, some exciting developments in Miramar, and we opened an outpatient center there at Highland Oaks Drive. And Dunbar Dream Center is just a really special one to me because many years ago, the FQHC, Federally Qualified Health Center, was moved, and we took this one over in Dunbar. That was a very small facility. It got wiped out in the hurricane. We brought in a mobile unit, And we had already plans to move into this building adjacent to it, or next door, that has much more space, everything brand new, a lot more providers to meet the needs of the Dunbar community in partnership with the church that owns the building. So it's really exciting. So with that kind of brings you to where we're at today. So I want you to get kind of an understanding of the healthcare industry challenges that we're facing, because this is not unique to LeeHealth or Lee County. This is throughout the United States, the challenges that are growing by the day. And one of the key contributing factors is, we have a Medicare program that's running out of money. Right? Medicare is a program that covers 65 million people, and it's about 12% of our federal budget today, and it's anticipated to grow to 18% by 2032. So much of what we spend money on of our federal budget is going towards health care, and specifically towards the Medicare program. 20% of national health care costs, it's all funded through Medicare income tax, as you know, as you work. Part of your income goes towards this Medicare income tax. But people are living longer, right? And the population is growing, especially here in Southwest Florida. And as you age, the spend on healthcare is higher, and that just makes sense, right? It's interesting to look at the anticipated growth in Medicare enrollment. So this goes from 2020 to where is it going to be in 40 years, in 2060? And this is what we're trying to look at as a health system. How do you factor this into your future plans? A growth of 30 million people, and in the age group of 85 plus, there's a significant, it's the highest percentage of growth. It's not as big of a number, but people are living longer, and in that 85 plus, 1 out of 2 are expected to have some memory issues, right? So it becomes really difficult, but from the federal deficit, it becomes even more of a challenge in saying, how do you pay for this? Because we're already, struggling with the payment system. You could see it in 2021. The blue is the revenue. The orange is really the expenses. And that black line that you see shows when the expenses become more than the revenues. And right now it's projected to face solvency challenges in 2029, meaning it will spend more than it's bringing in. And so what happens is Medicare begins to reduce the payments, right? What else can you do? Well, reduce the rates that you're paying to providers. Now, providers are saying, wait a minute, let's look at that, because this is what we call the hidden tax graph that, is how healthcare is funded. And if the Medicare payment system becomes more pressured and it pays less, let's take a look at where we're at today. Today, the red line represents our costs for our health system. This is specific to LeeHealth, but it's not unique. Many health systems face this same type of graph. Medicare currently is about 50% of our patients, but only about 42% of our payments. And that red line represents our costs. So today, the Medicare payment is about 80% of our costs, or 85. So every patient that comes in with Medicare, we lose 15 cents on a dollar. So that's challenging when we know Medicare is running out of money and they're going to pay less going forward, and they're going to specifically target providers. Medicaid, which is a program that's state and federal that covers based on income level and lower income, it pays even less. That's the blue little box to the right. It's a smaller portion of our patients, at only about 20%, but they're paying less than 70% of our costs. And then you have the uninsured, which we see. We don't turn people away when they come to the ER and say, you don't have any money, can't care for you. We care for you, right? That's what we're here for. And that's about 6.2% of our patients, and you don't get anything, right? It's zero. So imagine that as a business. So if 80% of your customers don't pay you the cost, and some pay nothing, how do you make that up? Well, you make it up from the commercial payments, that the employer-sponsored insurance. They have to pay more to cover for everybody else. And ideally, that all balances out to where everyone pays just a little bit more than your costs. But in a multi-payer system in the United States, this is how it works. And it's broken. It's broken bad. And it causes employers to have to pay more. It causes you as individuals to have higher out-of-pocket, higher deductibles, because employers are then struggling to say, how can I keep up with these premium increases that are forcing us to make really tough decisions on our balance sheet and on our income statement, because you make less if you have to pay more for premiums. And so you push more onto the employee, and then eventually you drop insurance, and then you become in this uninsured bucket. And then we have to charge everyone else more. So it's this, it doesn't work. And the good news is it is changing. But it's a process, and there's a lot of political implications. We know that one catalyst of change, really, is what we've just experienced over the last few years. This is unbelievable. What we went through with this COVID pandemic, the impact that it had on demand for acute care beds. We had to shut down surgeries just to make room for the medical to sick patients. Going through Delta, watching young people, less than 50 years old or less than 60 dying every day in our ICUs was horrible to experience. Physician and nurse burnout. We didn't have enough nurses. We didn't have enough, doctors were leaving because they're like, we can't do this anymore. This is too much. People were isolated from their families because they didn't want them to get sick. They were afraid they might be exposed. And so it was a really challenging time from a workforce standpoint, but also the financial impact was massive as we experienced losses of about $120 million in 3 months as we had to shut a bunch of stuff down initially. Remember, everything was shut down and there was no patients in the beginning. It was just a big panic. And then later the patients came, but we had to close a lot of services and we lost a lot of money. The resulting impact was worldwide, supply shortages, right? And that led also to, throughout the United States, a significant shortage in nurses. And prior to the pandemic, we were spending $4 million a year on contract nurses, bringing them in, traveling nurses. During the pandemic, and as recently as 2022, we paid $150 million for the year. Some months, $15 million just to bring in the nurses to care for our patients. And that's at $150 an hour. We used to pay $70. It's getting better. We're starting to see the trend come down. This is what is causing such a damaging impact to the nation's healthcare systems. Increasing cost of construction, this is one that has just given me major heartburn lately. Because we have a lot of plans, and then the costs go up 30%, right? And this is the margins that you see. So if you look at healthcare organizations throughout the United States, in January of 22, the average margin was minus 3%. Why? Because of those reasons I just pointed out. A variety of pressures on reimbursement, costs going up faster than reimbursement as the payer mix issues, the uninsured. But these were typically organizations who were making 3 to 4%. And now it's minus. It's the Cleveland Clinic. It's Geisinger. It's Kaiser, Mayo. These are not poor organizations. These are strong organizations that are facing massive challenges. As you could see, the trend is getting better, and so you're up to a 0.2% margin, but a 0.2% margin doesn't cover a lot of capital. It doesn't pay for a lot of equipment replacements or technology that you need to keep up with. So I wanted you to see some of the shifts that we're experiencing in care. So that's kind of the financial challenges we're facing, but where is healthcare going? Because we're in a very expensive system when hospital care sometimes becomes the care of choice, especially the ER. It's convenient. I know I can go there. I panic. I go. It's really expensive, right? It's 24/7 care, and it often leads to an admission, and then you're there for several days, and then you're trying to get out, and you don't know when you're going to get out. You've all been through it. It's not the best experience. We try to do the best we can. But care is shifting, and surgical care specifically is moving from the hospital setting to ambulatory surgery centers. These are freestanding, non-hospital-based centers, and that will lower costs because they cost less, and they're not open 24/7 like a hospital. And we see this trend continuing, and LeeHealth's going to be a part of that as we engage with partners in the community and prepare to build some ourselves. So that one is especially growing fast in orthopedics, where you used to have a knee or a hip replacement in the hospital. Now you're in and out, in a day, and you can do it in a surgery center. It costs less, out of pocket is less, and it's more convenient. So we think this is a great thing, and it's a great movement forward. Medicare has started paying in this lower cost setting, and it saves them money. So it's a part of the Medicare strategy, but it has to be safe, right? And you can't do really complicated patients there. So you'll find the more complicated ones, they're still doing them in the hospital. If you have a lot of comorbidities, the orthopedics are going to be done in the hospital, and so you still need hospital services, but it would be less. Diagnostic services, same thing with imaging and lab, a shift away from the hospital into diagnostic testing centers, freestanding labs, and you can see that this is a trend that continues. Convenient care clinics. This is urgent care, where you can just walk in and get services, but it's not the emergency room. We have several of these throughout our community, and they're always very busy. It's a good option. I think the primary care option is usually the best, but this is, employers and employees typically, especially look at the millennials, they want it now, they want it convenient, they don't want to have to worry about it. So we see this trend continuing. Digital health shift. You see the Amazons of the world coming out with new products. You want healthcare service, just go online. You just click, and you access it. Now, this is a different type of care because it's often virtual, and you can access it. But it's a new offer that can be more convenient. We offer this as well, and we're providing investments in this area where we can monitor you from your home if you have certain conditions. Heart disease, et cetera, where we could look at, see if your weight is accelerating rapidly, your blood pressure, these things, and then we could intervene. And you don't have to come to us. We could monitor you from home. The virtual care really took off in COVID when everything shut down. We have the technology. It's just people didn't really, they still want to be in person. But when COVID hit, we had thousands, tens of thousands of visits, and Chris could share that with you as that took off, and we offered that at zero out of pocket. Home-based care shift, this is a really interesting one that's just on the forefront. Hospital at home. So you would come to the hospital and get admitted, but you're going to get admitted to your house. So I go, how does that work? Well, there is mechanisms that certain conditions you can monitor from home. Like we said, we have the technology. We have the virtual capability. You need to have someone rounding. You need to know what happens if there's an emergency and you need to get to the hospital. But they expect, as you see in this potential here, up to 30% of hospital admissions could be at home, and we're all interested. We're going to do it. We're going to look at it. You might start with a census of 15, but down the road, what if it could be 150? 150 beds costs about $500 million. So if we could do that in a home, that's revolution. It's really a huge change. We got to do it safe. It's got to be effective, and we're going to explore that area. But I thought you'd find it of interest because it can meet that need of reducing the cost of health care in the United States, and here specifically, and provide it in a more convenient manner. What we're seeing is that outpatient growth is projected to eclipse inpatient by a ratio of 15-1. Some of that's by payment reform, where Medicare says, I'll pay for it in this other setting. Some of it is by improvements in population health, by the things we're trying to do to keep you out of the hospital. Some of it's innovation and technology. So all of these things can make a big difference. And I didn't notice I didn't have it on the slideshow. Hey, there you go. Now you can see it. And that's just another slide just to show this impact as well. Inpatient use rate, which is the rate of admissions per 1,000 people, is declining, and it's been declining. So you expect that to decline by about 12%. What's different about Southwest Florida? Well, we don't have a flat population, do we? We have a growing population that expects to grow by maybe another 20% over the next 10 years. So with those two things in mind, we're as health planners are saying, well, okay, what does this mean? How many beds do we need? We don't really know. We know we're growing in population, it's aging, but it's not just the aging. We have a lot of young people coming here and businesses that want to be in Lee County. So it's this mix. And at the same time, we're seeing the shift out of the hospital into these alternative settings at a rate of 12% decline. The delivery transformation, what we're doing to address it and try to make it more relevant, more affordable, more accessible, is we're expanding our primary care services throughout the community. I know it's frustrating if you try to get into a doctor and they say, all right, yeah, sure, we'll see you in 4 months. We're going to try to meet that need in a new way and in as many ways as we can. Optimizing our surgical services is really important to provide you with the very best surgery in these freestanding settings that could be lower cost, more convenient, but also for more complex cases to have the best technology within the hospitals that we possibly can and the teams there to take care of you. Heart, orthopedic service lines, and oncology. I missed that. Oncology is another key service line that we're focusing on to make sure you have those types of services when you need it. And enabling health through digital. We also have retail pharmacy and specialty pharmacy because the medication management is such an important component of the care delivery. But the ultimate goal is that we deliver greater value and we deliver better outcomes at the lowest cost possible. So now we can look at what are we doing in the reinvestment. So, with the money we have left over, and we have a strong financial foundation, so even though we probably are going to be facing challenges, with a hurricane, we lost $40 million in the month of October. So we're struggling this year. We're at about a 1.6% margin. But we're planning on getting it back to where it needs to be, at about 4 to 5%, and that will fund these expansion plans that you're going to see. So we could show you some of the areas that we really want to target, and I'm sure, depending on where you're at, some will be really excited about this. I know we have a board member that lives in Lehigh. She's like, when are we getting to Lehigh? Well, we're going to go to Lehigh with an ambulatory center. North Fort Myers, that's growing. Cape Coral, many locations there you can see. And then while also focusing in on making this home-based services more accessible and available to you. South Lee County, we will be opening a medical oncology unit at Bonita Health Center. Here's some pictures of some of the construction that's underway at Surfside, Cape Coral. This is Veterans in Surfside. We have a facility there that's expanding about 15,000 square feet for some orthopedic and rheumatology offices. Bimini Basin on Cape Coral Parkway, this is getting ready to launch. It's a part of a mixed-use development of residential services and a restaurant on the water. And we would have 13 to 20 apartments on the top 2 floors. We would take the 40,000 square feet of medical office space right there on Palm Tree Boulevard and focus on primary care and cardiology and some imaging. There's a new development on Victory Park, which is at Diplomat in Cape Coral, which is really exciting, right next to the VA hospital, that we're looking to expand medical oncology services. Veterans Parkway, we just closed on a parcel next to Target and Lowe's there at Santa Barbara and Veterans. And this could be a great location for a freestanding surgery center, medical office building, urgent care, etc. We bought 57 acres in Cape Coral a couple years ago, and this is an area in Cape Coral, the growth is north and northwest, and this is prime land that's right next to a future Walmart site and across the street from a mixed-use development. It's a little further out, but it just superimposes Coconut Point on top of there to show you what the possibilities are. No definitive plans at this point. This is the Lehigh site that we're working with the Fire District of Lehigh to hopefully close on at the end of this next couple months. And that's 10 acres right there on Homestead, which is right in the middle of a heavily populated area, and Lehigh just so desperately needs more health care. North Fort Myers, where's Randy? Randy's like, when are you going to develop that site? Well, this is across from some land that Randy has, and it's a great site. It's right there at Betmar between Pondella and Pine Island Road, and we have an FQHC, a federally qualified health center, just down the road that's 4,000 square feet and out of space, so it could be a great way to expand it there. Health Park Circle, right next to Health Park Campus. We own 9.5 acres. We could move pediatric surgery out of the hospital. Most of it can be done outside of the hospital, and that would free up capacity within the hospital. So that's exciting too. Something new and exciting here, Proton Center for Southwest Florida. This is through a partnership with Advocate. They are building one in partnership with us through our LeeHealth Holdings subsidiary corp that would bring Proton. And Proton's kind of an advanced radiation oncology. Really good for kids, a lot quicker in treating cancer and tumors. And it's just like unbelievable, but it's highly complex. It's very expensive. And it's coming to Southwest Florida within the next couple of years. We'll have MRI and PET scan there as well. One thing we shifted out of the hospital is the rehab hospital, and are planning on doing it. We have a 60-bed rehab hospital at the Cleveland campus, and we decided to partner with Encompass, which is one of the national rehab hospital, top in the nation. Rather than just continuing on our own in rehabilitation hospitals, we decided to partner with them in Cape Coral. That's open now on Pondella Road, a 40-bed, and we're going to move the 60-bed from Lee to Gulf Coast in partnership with Encompass in 2025. Cape Coral's expanding in ICU. If you go by, down Del Prado, you'll see that is shelled in now, and it would be open sometime late next year for increased access. Cape Coral Hospital is full. Oftentimes, ICU is in the highest demand, so we're going to create more access there. And this is probably the biggest one that you'll start to see as we go to the City Council of Fort Myers on the 5th for an approval of the plan unit development of 52 acres. This is the long-term vision. It was an amazing 2 pieces of property you're able to assemble together and acquire in a location just 2 miles from I-75. It's within 5 miles of the current campus, more centrally located to Dunbar and East Fort Myers for really a replacement facility and an ambulatory campus that would have a lot of options for medical office buildings, freestanding emergency or freestanding ambulatory surgery center within the medical office building adjacent to the hospital where doctors could practice at either. Give the best of both worlds and co-locate a lot of complementary services, including skilled nursing and options for a daycare where the healthcare workers could drop off their kids, potentially a hotel down the road where this is a prime site for a hotel. And as you have medical tourism, some people may want to come in for a few weeks and have their knee surgery and maybe stay for a staycation here in an extended hotel. So that's all coming down the pike, and it's really exciting, and we're excited to be a part of it. So despite the challenges, our future is bright here in Lee County. And with that, I'll just share just briefly the digital health programs that we have started. This is bringing health to you where you're at. A lot of exciting stuff in artificial intelligence to be able to detect certain plaque. When you have CT, it can detect the type of heart disease you might have. If you might be one that might fall over from a heart attack unexpectedly, it can tell you that by the artificial intelligence. It's an amazing program, and we call it our Heart Health program. But there's so much around this space that's going on that you're going to see expand so rapidly that's going to help to improve the way we diagnose and treat, and even on the need for workforce, because a lot of the digital can supplement the workforce challenges that we're having in not having enough workers. Not saying a robot can do it better, I'm saying we can do it with robots and with artificial intelligence better than we can do it on our own. The last thing I'll share with you is just Lee Healthcare Partners is, we're trying to make care more affordable to self-funded employers, and we do this through Care Partners, which is really a network for self-funded that we offer lower prices in a network that's convenient for you, where you access our physicians and our services and partnerships we have with others in the community. Focuses on 27 different chronic conditions, gives you zero out-of-pocket costs for those to try to get in front of those conditions that could lead to costlier services if you don't treat them. And we hope in the end that will bend the cost curve and help you as an employer keep your costs down. We're feeding the community with new residents, new graduate medical education residents for the shortage in doctors. And we have a great program at Lee in the family medicine program that's 24 residents today, growing to 30. We have a 36 internal resident program that we started at Cape Coral just a couple years ago. And we would launch our largest program at the Gulf Coast Medical Center, which is now our largest campus, at some point in the future that could have as many as 160 residents. We're trying to figure out the timing on that because it all takes a lot of resources and work, but that's going to be a great feeder to the community of doctors that train here and then want to stay here. And we're finding about 50% of them end up staying. The millennials do tend to leave after a short while sometimes, but we'll try to keep them here the best we can. So with that, that's all I have. I wanted to open it up to Q&A with our panel, and Dr. Ian Gonzenhauser and Chris Fay and myself. Any questions you have, and I appreciate your time.
Just your phone.
Thanks, Warren. Ben, I was wondering if you or the doctor was able to figure out what happened to your field goal kicker last year that shanked that and let my Georgia Bulldogs remain national champions and #1 in the nation.
I don't remember that game. I don't remember what you're talking about.
Ben, I appreciate the presentation. Not so much of a question as more of a comment. We're proud of our long relationship and partnership with LeeHealth. We're the #1 provider for all of the medical needs and graduates, and not just nursing. Everybody thinks of that, 600. But that's been the problem. How do we create more nurses? I realize that's where the demand is. We're producing 600 a year. The state doesn't recognize differential costs. I felt your pain as you're describing that. Every nursing student I bring on this campus, I lose money. If I was making a business decision tomorrow, I'd close nursing. I mean, but we're not a business. We have business-like tendencies. But the reality is, so the good news, some short-term, some light coming. I just received $1 million gift from a donor, and we're going to be able to expand capacity and add another 76 nursing seats. So it's coming. It's on the way. That actually has begun this year. So we're happy to be able to be doing that. Of course, our cardiovascular and all that. So happy with the relationship, and we're with you. We feel your pain. All the way across from our simulation center to the EPIC training we do. We're happy to be a long-term partner with, and so.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship that we have with the university and the nursing training programs to bring new nurses into the field, when we know right now we've got more nurses leaving than entering healthcare, is so critically important. And I think for us, our responsibility is to make sure that we have a space that is recognized, certainly regionally and hopefully nationally, as a place where young nurses and new nurses can enter the field and plan to be supported throughout their growth through a nursing career, so that they can not only enter the field but then stay in the field and reach whatever development they want. If it's reaching an APP type of a training, or going into administration, or finding leadership opportunities, or potentially opportunities in research. I think we want to be the place that is recognized that if you are a nurse starting a career, you can come here, you can have a long established career where you will grow and flourish. And we've got a lot of opportunity to do that because of our size, because of our breadth, because of these new technologies that we're exploring. A lot of those are the things that people want experience with as they enter the field. If that's digital nursing, or virtual nursing, or nursing out in the community. I mean, there's so many opportunities that we can offer. So that partnership is just critically important, and we thank you.
Anything else, Chris? I was going to ask Chris what these guys missed. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Being the director of the Medical Society, this really, I'm a nerd and want to know more about this. One of the things I'm seeing in Lee County is that a lot of private equities are coming and buying out our independents. How are you guys seeing that, and especially radiology just happened, how are you seeing that affecting LeeHealth?
So that's accurate, and that's happening nationally. And these private equity firms, their intention is to buy these practices, sell them in 3 to 5 years for a profit. So to be clear, it's all profit-driven, many times publicly traded. So I fear sometimes when physicians decide to sell, it sounds good at the time, and as they live through the ownership, it could feel a bit different. And clearly the motives appropriately are to their shareholders, right? Not to the community and the community benefit. So we have been seeing that. Conversely, we've seen independent practices come to us to be acquired, because it's tough to be an independent practitioner financially, as you can imagine. So we've benefited in part from that activity, because we've been able to acquire some excellent groups who really believe in our mission and want to be community-centric. So that will unfold over time, but as you can tell, I'm not a fan.
Maybe one more question, and then I'm sure you guys would stay after for a few minutes, but keep us on track.
Ben, thank you very much for the great presentation. This question may be too involved for the last question, but recently LeeHealth had a bill passed that would change the structure, your corporate structure, and how would that impact the community? And if you could tell us a bit about it for those that don't know about it.
Yeah, I can do that. I think what recently was passed with the legislature was the ability for LeeHealth to convert to not-for-profit private from governmental status. And so that is a decision that has a lot of implications for us, that we have to work out to see, does it make sense to be not-for-profit versus being governmental? And it really shouldn't be much of a concern to the community. It's more of an internal structure, and if it's something that makes sense. Today, we're confined to the Lee County borders. Competitors can come in, but we can't go beyond the borders by our enabling legislation. So that's one thing that could be of value, to be able to go beyond our borders into Collier or northern communities. But it's really complex. And so what I would say right now is we're just trying to figure out what does it mean, and if there was value to the community to be able to do that, should we do that? And that would be a decision of our board.
Yeah, if I can offer just one more perspective on that. Anybody who has done business with a government agency knows how difficult those contracts and those relationships and those partnerships can be. It's very different when you're working outside of the confines of the regulations that go with government structures. We are, in every way, a government function, right? We are a special district of the government. And that means when we seek partnership and partnering relationships with community organizations and other providers in the community, we are restricted and bound by all of the red tape that goes along with being that type of entity. If you take anything away from Ben's presentation and what we're seeing in healthcare in general across the nation, the future of healthcare delivery is in partnership. It is partnering between hospitals and agencies and community, wraparound services that provide patients the type of care and other services that they need at home and in the community. The only way we are going to succeed is by building these networks of partners that didn't exist in the past. The idea of going it alone as a hospital or a health system, that is no longer a function that we can rely on. And so one of the major components of potentially being a private not-for-profit is the ability to reach into partnership in a much more flexible, much more streamlined manner and achieve these partnership arrangements that we couldn't in the past. And those are partnerships with community providers, independent physicians, other community agencies that can really expand our ability to drive care the way that people want to receive it and in a more cost-effective manner.
Good point.
Great, thank you. And I assume, again, you guys will stay off, or thanks, appreciate it. Well, that's really, I guess, a little scary in some, as we all age, wondering how we're going to pay for this, but I'm sure we'll, as always, work through the challenges, but certainly brings the challenges to light that you all are dealing with, so appreciate it. So, any membership input quickly before we move, since we're a little behind? All right. Yes, thank you, yes. Well, as always, thank you, Dr. Albritton, for allowing us to use your beautiful facility. And if we have a motion to move, all right, thank you.